And welcome to DCCodingGames.com. Today we're going to be doing Skull and Bones, the new pirate game that's come out with Ubisoft, and we are going to be doing my first impressions and reactions to it. So before we go there, if you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. This really helps out my channel. So let's get to it. Now, the graphics in Skull and Bones is pretty impressive, I must say. They've done a great job to this, but it's not a surprise. There's games coming out now that they focus on this, and no matter what, the graphics are good. So when you first start out in this game, you have to have a battle, and the battle occurs, and then there's British fleet coming, and they destroy you, and you get stranded on this island. Now, the detail to customization of your character is actually quite basic. There's not too much to it. So for example, Starfield, you had a lot of options of skills that you had to achieve and all this, and your personality sort of came through with the customization of the character. You don't get this in Skull and Bones. You just get the initial, oh, here's your appearance, you can do this or this and this. But in the actual one, because I just played the beta, I don't know, there might be improvements to it. Let's see. I like the fact that you in Skull and Bones that you start out with just a very basic, I'd say, boat, and there's no ship there, and you have to upgrade this by talking to people and then collecting other resources to build your ship, which is very good in a way because you get a different appearance of ship. So I'm thinking that actually Skull and Bones will actually get better in the fact that they will have more upgraded ships, etc. And your ships will look different, which is something that Black Flag, which was released in October 2013, that didn't really go into detail in that sense of things. It just had your one ship that you had, and then you just upgraded it. There wasn't really any appearance change on the ship or a different ship. I like the fact in Skull and Bones that when you buy cannons, you can actually place them left and right. You can place them forward, you can do whatever you want, which is great. And there's different types of ammunition you can get. There's different types of weapons or cannons, like mortars, like missiles, which in a reality, okay, they have put this a bit far-fetched. I mean, come on, Skull and Bones, you can't have missiles. That wasn't invented yet. It is the 17th century. Anyway, in terms of moving your character from an island to your ship, well, it cutscene, which is disappointing. In Skull and Bones, you can't just get your character off your wheel like you do in Black Flag and go into the sea to get into the island and be more free in that sense. This doesn't happen, which is a shame because that's a bit lazy. In Black Flag, you could get off your wheel, you could climb up the ship, you could jump off, you could do all sorts of stuff, and you didn't have to be tied to one scene on your ship to another on the island. So an example of a cutscene that I didn't like was that when you went into a room, it cut to a video of him picking it up and then go out of the room, but then you couldn't actually explore the room. It was locked to you, so they were a bit lazy and they just did the video of it and then that was it. You couldn't explore the room, you couldn't look into all the drawers, you couldn't do all that. In terms of your ship, well, there are safe zones in your ship in Skull and Bones, and there's places where then people can shoot you and things. Well, in Black Flag there was no safe zone. When you got onto the ship, you're on the ship, anybody could attack you. Skull and Bones, apparently there's a safe zone, and then you get beyond that safe zone, which you can then start firing ships. And also the fact that you can't actually board when you're doing ships at the moment. Now, I don't know if this is a thing after the beta that we see us boarding ships and things like that, because this is not a case at the moment in Skull and Bones, which is quite disappointing. I mean, the whole great thing about Black Flags was that you could board a ship, you can start doing sword fights and all this, which was great. That was fantastic. Now in Skull and Bones, that sort of disappeared. In terms of missions, well, there is an area where you get lots of shops, and you get to go to a load of people to upgrade all your stuff and etc. And then there's a contract place. And that's all there is contracts in Skull and Bones at the moment. Where's the actual story? There's no real story in Skull and Bones, where there was in Black Flags. And also Skull and Bones, there is some element of owning settlements and maybe owning stuff, which is an element which I want to explore, because it might be that actually you can do things like outposts like you do in Starfield, which is pretty cool. So Skull and Bones, there's no real thing where Black Flags had, where you could do this chessboard ships and you can own different ships that were in your fleet, and you can put them into trading missions and things like that. Skull and Bones doesn't have that at the moment, although when you go into their menu it seems like there's things like settlements and things like that. I don't know if this is actually areas that you can explore or areas that you can actually take over, but there's no such thing as owning other ships, which if they did in Skull and Bones, that might have made things much more interesting, which they haven't done. Well, in conclusion, I think Skull and Bones has got quite a lot of potential. It might have quite different aspects to Black Flag, but it has elements there that they didn't carry forward in Black Flag, and I just feel like when I'm playing Skull and Bones, I feel like I want to go back and play Black Flag. But that's my opinion. What's your opinion? I'd like to see what you guys think, and please do leave that in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one.